Okay, I will continue the presentation. We will present you the second article and have question and answer session. So for the second article, it's the article entitled Stylistics in Translation of Asahan dalam Angka 2015 Text, written by Ali Azir from University Asahan. So we will see the abstract first. I have highlight the some of the important things or the point of the abstract. So style is very important because it is regarded as a part of meaning. Because of this importance, the stylistic problems have been given a great attention. And this study or this research aims to identify types of stylistic used in the translation of Asahan dalam Angka 2015 text, to analyze how the stylistics are applied and the reason why they are applied. And this study applies qualitative research method. I will explain you more about it later. And the data were organized by using the technique proposed by Mas and Haberman 2014. For the findings and etc. will also be presented by my friends later. And of course, the conclusion and the implementation of this research. So, okay. The keywords for this study is translation, stylistic, and text. And we will move to the introduction. I also have highlight some of important parts. Let's talk about it. The writer explain or present about some of the definition, the definition of translation. The writer took from Catford 1965, Lataiwis 1999, and then Ghazala 1995, and Latiwish and Aziz 1999. As you can see, we can conclude that the translation is means to translate or to make translation from the source language to target language. And then you can see next translation, translating a text, particularly that of officially one of often involves a gap. What is this? What is the gap? The gap is mean that there are inappropriate meanings in the target text that is translated into the target text. But there is also an equivalence. It is in meaning which is as a central meaning focus is the translation work hasn't done well by the translator. The further its equivalence is, the farther the gap is. The gap, however, leads to misunderstanding of the text. Misunderstanding of the text will either spoil the ideas or loses the information of the search text. So this needs to be studied and analyzed, as the gap might result in inappropriate value, and it's related to the stylistic at first that I have explained earlier. But in this research, the writer didn't include the previous studies or the previous research, so we cannot know more previous research about stylistic. And then for the next is research method. There are 3 steps in concluding this research. There are collecting the data, analyzing the data, and presenting the result of analysis. It is proposed by Sudaryanto 1993. So first, in collecting the data, the writer applied non-participant observational method. First, ASDA 2015 text as the search text was read several times. Afterwards, the writer identified each sentence which contains any types of stylistics used that is based on the category of stylistics. Next, the writer collected all of stylistic problems. After collecting the data, the writer analyzed it. In concluding this study, descriptive qualitative method will be implemented. So the method of the research is descriptive qualitative method. Qualitative research, broadly defined, means any kind of research that produces findings that arrive at means of statistical procedures or other mean of quantification. It's taken from Strauss and Corbin 1998. According to Bogdan and Bicklin 1992, qualitative is descriptive, where the data is in the form of words or pictures rather than numbers. So the study is focused on the qualitative data, not quantitative data. And then the next is the data and the search of data. The data of this research concerns of stylistic. The data was taken from the text of ASDA 2015. The author of the text is Tuti Hidayanti. The researchers or the writer choose this text because both of the original and the translation version contain some sufficient data for promoting the regency of Asahan. But since the text has too many pages to study, the researchers divides into 5 divisions. It means from each division contains averagely 10 pages. Therefore, there will be more or less 50 pages which are taken from the text. These 50 pages will be analyzed on the basis of stylistic in the translation of the text. And for the left side, you can see the table. ST stands for search translation, and then the phrase, and TT is target translation, phrase, and type in stylistic. You can see, for example, number 1, the search text. I'm sorry, it's not translation, but search text. Badan Perencanaan Pembangunan Daerah Kebutuhan Kabupaten Asahan. The phrase is pembangunan daerah. It's translated to target text, the Regional Development Planning Agency of Asahan Regency. So from Badan Perencanaan Pembangunan Daerah Kabupaten Asahan to the Regional Development Planning Agency of Asahan Regency. And then the phrase from pembangunan daerah to regional development. And the types in stylistic is lexical choice, from regional to local. And then for another example is from search text, terlaksana penerbitan ini is translated to target text, the implementation of this publication. The phrase is terlaksana, translated to implementation. The stylistic types is implementation, to realization. And then from the third example, pelopor data statistik terpercaya untuk semua, translated to the agent of trustworthy statistical data for all. And the phrase pelopor data statistik terpercaya is translated to agent of trustworthy statistical data. Stylistic types is lexical and syntactical. And then for the last is the stylistic types lexical, syntactical, and grammatical. You can see from sadar untuk menggunakan teknik statistika and blah blah blah, translated to aware to apply an effective statistical technique and blah 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 blah. And for the next chapter, data collection, will be presented by my friends. Mbak Dita, the time is yours.
Okay, well, thank you, Mbak Nisa. Okay, here I'm going to continue the presentation. The data collection, the case study of stylistics in translations as the 2015 text is involved. The first one is word formation variation or WFV. The second one is lexical choice variation. The third is syntactical order variation. The fourth, semantical meaning variation. And pragmatic contextual variation, grammatical change variation, and the last one is functional linguistic variation. Next, Mbak. Next, Mbak Nis.
Wait, agak lama. Okay.
Okay, we're going to findings. The first one is word formation variation. Based on the data, there were 19 data or sentences. WFV is a variation applied in the text to the words or phrases that undergo word forming process. This process is also called morphological process. The morphological process involves suffixation such as prefixes, infix, and suffixes. And then the second is lexical choice variation. Based on the data, there were 28 data or sentences, and this involves lexical, grammatical, and stylistic choices in the target language. These choices should reflect the semantic, pragmatic, and aesthetic values of the original. The ultimate goal is to create an equivalent work of art. The following shows how data from the text are analyzed based on the lexical choices variation. The next is syntactical order variation. Based on the data, there were 25 data or sentences. In this, SOV is provided as the empirical evidence that approximately are not associated with an explicit occurrence of a support verb. This important underlying property of SOV, which is in general not shared by MT or machine translator. In general, MT is composed of at least two elements which are simultaneously present, even if they may undergo variations. The basic meaning of the sentence remains the same even when the word order is changed by putting words in a casual place. And then the partitive case tells which one is the is the object, and one may distinguish the object from the subject. And then the fourth is semantic meaning variation. Based on the data, there were 21 data or sentences. A semantic meaning translation is theories of meaning which are sometimes used to throw light on the phenomenon of translation. It's why the light can fruitfully be thrown in the opposite direction. We can use translations to get a handle on meaning. And then more specifically, we will motivate and present a method for the automatic extraction of WordNet type information from translational data and review some results. And then the next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, pragmatic contextual variation based on the data. There were 8 data or sentences. In the movement of translation today, translators tend to employ several methods in order to deal with puns such as communicative translation, semantic translations, and free translations. And one of these methods perfectly accounts for context. In other words, no one of them explains how to identify the pun word and how to assign the appropriate meaning and context to it. And then the last one is grammatical change variation. Based on the data, there were 29 data sources. When translating a piece of writing, many problems face translators and students because of differences between languages. Because of that, the translator must be very careful when they translate. Some people may think that translation is an easy process, especially the translation of grammatical categories, and it's just to find their equivalent in the target language. And then next slide, I will show the diagram of stylistic variation of ASDA. This is the diagram. WFV, LCV, SOV, SMV, PCV, and GCV. And then the next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, we are going to conclusions. Style is very important, as Anissa said before in abstract. Style is very important because it's regarded as a part of meaning. If we ignore it, we ignore a part of meaning. So style is very, very important in this part. Okay. The next and then the last one, I think. Yes, there are two main causes of why stylistic are not well applied in translation. The first is because of MT used in translating as the 2015 text is not equipped by sufficient linguistic devices. And then the second one is translation of ASDA 2015 text is not realized in stylistic variations. Okay, I think this is enough from our group. I will give back to Hani. Thank you.
Mbak Hani, or I will continue to the next session. So we have finished the presentation. If any of you have maybe one or two questions, we will try our best to answer it, but the meeting will end in 10 minutes, so we will just limit the question into 2 questions maybe because of the time limit. I'm really sorry. Is there any question?
Can I ask question, Nisa?
Yes, please, Mbak Ana.
This may not be important question, maybe just a subjective one, and I just want to know about your opinion because based on my personal experience as an this kind of untranslatability phenomenon. But when I cannot find the right equivalence for that certain term, I might or maybe other amateur translator might might unknowingly forgone the existing approach or methods proposed by expert to actually solve this kind of problem. And translate the term according to my own understanding, based on my limit understanding. Even though the translate, can you give your 2 cents about this kind of problem from your standpoint?
I'm sorry, but your voice is kind of tadi putus-putus, Mbak.
Is it too small?
No, tadi putus-putus.
Udah kedengeran jelas belum?
Udah. Jadi intinya when you were translated something and you don't know some of the terms.
Kan harusnya ada ini ya, methods atau approach yang tadi dibahas di awal itu, approach yang sebenarnya ada untuk solving this kind of problem. Tapi ketika aku mungkin kadang mungkin lupa atau misalnya nggak sadar kalau ternyata ada methods kayak gitu untuk solving this kind of problem ketika aku menghadapi untranslatable words or certain terms, itu terus aku kayak nge-translate sesuai kayak sesuai termku aja lah ininya, translate-nya kayak gitu. Padahal sebenarnya hasil translate itu tuh kalau menurut native atau mungkin orang yang baca itu sebenarnya nggak sesuai gitu, atau istilahnya improper atau inadequate gitu. Jadi kalau menurut kamu kalau ada kasus-kasus kayak gitu gimana? Karena dari pengalamanku translate dan beberapa teman yang translate juga itu pernah ngalamin kayak gitu.
Oke, thank you for the question, Mbak
Makasih.
Ana. Mau dijawab dulu atau next question?
Next question, saya izin tanya.
Oh, oke, Mas Benny. Langsung masuk. Gimana Mas Benny?
Ya. Pertanyaan buat Mbak Hani ya. Itu tadi, can you mention another factor causing untranslatability except religious cultural factor? Itu aja.
Thank you, Mas Benny.
Thank you, Mas Benny.
Okay, thank
So we will answer the question right away. Again, I'm really sorry for the short question and answer session because we have time limit here. So anyone want?
Vanessa.
Yeah.
Vanessa, can I give my question?
Oh, okay. Last question. Gak apa-apa deh. I hope it's enough.
I just curious with the explanation of Mbak Dita. Mbak Dita explained about the findings in the stylistic variation. They mentioned 6, I think, 6 stylistic variation. I'm curious the example of them because would you give me one example each variation, because I'm curious about the stylistic variation in the second article.
Okay, thank you for the question, Mbak Rani. Gimana?
Iya.
Mau diulangin?
Only one. I'm just curious. Maybe to make it clear and to make people know about the stylistic variation clearly, specifically. without know the kinds of stylistic variation only. Okay, thank you very much, Mbak Nisa.
Okay, thank you for the question, Mbak Rani. So we will
Thank you,
move
Mbak.
to the answer. I think I will answer for the first question, Mbak Ana's question. My opinion. So jadi yang tadi beberapa terms yang tidak dipahami itu ya. I think that is what makes the gap yang tadi that I have explained. Gapnya itu karena ada keterbatasan knowledge juga, because kan as translator, tapi mungkin dari kita kan kita tidak bisa expert di semua bidang, kayak seperti semua kan kayak education terms itu pasti berbeda dengan clinical terms atau law terms dan lain sebagainya. Itu bakalan yang jadi gap dan ada beberapa kata yang nggak bisa dicari padanan katanya kan. Kalau dalam bahasa Indonesia nggak ada dalam padanan bahasa. Mungkin di bahasa Inggris ada kata seperti ini, tapi di bahasa Indonesia tidak ada padanan katanya. Itu kalau menurutku yang tadi jadi gap itu sih. Probably mungkin bisa pakai, kalau menurutku kalau aku udah mentok juga biasanya pakai istilah aslinya juga kalau memang nggak ada padanan katanya. Dan itu yang menurutku yang jadi gapnya tadi sih, malah jadi gap antara search language sama target language-nya itu. Enough, Mbak Ana?
Boleh lanjut dikit nggak nanyanya? Atau
Okay.
mau dipindah ke ini aja, Zoom setelah ini?
WAG, Mbak.
Kalau teman-teman gimana? Mau satu lagi? Nanti berarti nguploadnya 3 video. Hehe.
Enggak sih, kayak dikit banget aja. Jadi kan misalnya kita tahu ada namanya teknik borrowing itu kan. Jadi misalnya kayak kamu bilang tadi itu pakai kata padanan kata, karena nggak ada padanan katanya jadi dia pakai kata asli. Cuman ada beberapa kasus dari teman-teman translator juga yang aku kenal itu mereka kayak I think I'm fortunate enough karena aku belajar bahasa Inggris kayak gini, maksudnya dari jurusan Inggris, jadi kita kan belajar kayak gini ya. Sedangkan mereka itu pure karena mereka bisa bahasa Inggris tapi bukan dari jurusan Inggris yang mungkin nggak pernah belajar soal translation gitu. Jadi mereka kadang nggak tahu ada kayak istilah borrowing atau compensation atau call kayak gitu. Itu do you think it's because of their berarti mereka, apakah menurutmu itu berarti mereka bukan translator yang baik kalau kayak gitu?
Menurutku aja ya, it's based on my opinion. But anyway, it's 1 minute left, so jadi apa kita move ruang lagi?
For the next.
Kita move ruang lagi soalnya tinggal 1 menit lagi, nggak apa-apa. Move ruang sekali lagi buat jawab 3 pertanyaannya itu.
Oke, Mbak, siap dilanjut naon.
Oke, aku end dulu ya ini.
Ya.
Oke, aku end dulu. See you.